Welcome to the Film Garage 208 podcast. My name is Sarah and this is Daniel.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. Today we have with us Oakley, who is the owner of 12th Man Football and Protocol 12.
Yes.
Welcome.
Nailed it. Thank you.
I nailed it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. This is super
try.
sweet. Super cool spot you guys got.
Yeah.
Right?
It's different.
It's a little hole in
fun.
the wall
Yeah.
place here. Yeah.
I love it. It's super sweet. No, I think it's really neat what you guys are doing. I think it's super cool.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Cool.
you guys having me on.
Yeah.
Well-
How about you tell everyone what do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah. What is
Yeah.
12th Man
Who is
Football and
Oakley?
Protocol 12?
For sure.
Yeah.
So I'm from here. I'm an Idaho Falls kid.
Oh, okay.
I'm only 23 years old actually. I don't know if you do that or not, but young guy. Like I said, I grew up here. I went to high school at Hillcrest High School actually.
Oh, okay. So local.
So I'm a local kid. Yeah. Played football there, had a great career, super memorable. I had the chance to move on and go play football at Utah State and Idaho State as well. But anyway, I've, since stepped away from the game and now I'm at this point in my life where I'm coaching athletes between 12th Man Football and Protocol 12. So those two things, 12th Man Football is kind of its own thing. Really, at the end of the day, what we try to do is work with football specific athletes and train them based on their position. That was one thing when I was in college. Was I always wished, and I was a pretty good player in high school, I felt like. I mean, if I can toot my own horn and say that, but I always felt like I was a pretty decent player. But when you get to the college level, it's different. Everybody's the dude from where they come from.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
one thing from around here, like I always wish that I wish I had a better understanding of how to play my position
Okay.
better. Like I knew how to play it, but I wish I knew all the specific details, like really in depth, like, okay, like what is this?
The
What
things
does this
you
mean?
learn at the upper levels
Exactly.
when it's too late if you don't know.
So that was kind of my thing. Like, and that's the thing that a lot of other kids had when we got there was they understood a lot of those concepts where I showed up and it's like, oh my gosh, like what?
Yeah.
What? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So,
like the game within the game.
the game within the game. Exactly.
He was a football player
Yeah.
in college.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
I played at
Idaho
Idaho
State.
State. Well, I was a walk-on for a few years.
For
and,
sure.
Yeah, tried to earn a scholarship, never could. So just
Right.
walk on and did it for 3 years. And I was like, it's too much.
It's
This
too
is
much.
exhausting.
Yeah.
But this is exactly how it was. I was like a all conference, high
Yeah.
school. I just thought I was the shit. And then
For sure.
Got to college and I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is like the best player of
Right.
every team.
Right.
And it is that game within the game.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
So all those guys, it's like they all have they're the all conference.
Yeah.
They're all player of the year. They're all this, they're all that. So, that's what I try to do when I finished up playing college football. I was like, what could be a training? How can we train athletes and how can I make it different? And my thought process was, okay, how about we give these kids like the most advanced level training we possibly can, or I possibly can. Everything that they would learn, everything that I've learned through my years of playing at the collegiate level, how can I give it back to these younger athletes so that they're already accustomed to it, if that's the desires that they have. So that started a year ago, actually. I kind of dabbled in it at first. So I finished playing and I was like, I'll just try it out. We'll see how it goes. And it kind of popped off, actually.
Doing the training. Yeah.
Type of thing. Like I had a lot of interest between wide receivers and running backs.
How were you dabbling into it? Like
I
what
just
were you
kind
doing?
of, when I mean by dabbling into it, like I wasn't really sure. My wife and I had moved back here to town and I was like, maybe I'll just try it and see what interest is out there. Like I know a lot of people and I know a lot of kids, and maybe I'll just throw out an ad on Facebook and I'll just say, hey, I'm going to do some training. Here's a schedule. I've got slots for receivers, running backs. That's what I played in high school. So those are like the main positions I focus on is running backs and receivers.
Sure.
And so I did it and it just like popped off. There's a bunch of kids, like I had wait lists.
Wow.
I had a bunch of kids that's like parents.
That's exciting.
They were like, oh yeah. They were like, hey, I would be interested in getting my kid. And like, I'm talking about pretty notable players like from the area. And it just kind of carried itself through. And I was like, man, this might be something that we can actually do.
Yeah.
Like, let's give it a shot.
Before you started that, did you look in to see if there was anyone else doing it in town?
There actually was one, not here in town. So I had a really good buddy actually who was in Rigby that had a facility. and he was already doing speed and agility work, like speed sessions, working with athletes up there. And we had a pretty good relationship, and we still do. But I just was like, hey man, I've got this thing that I want to try. Would you mind if I use your facility at times? And he finished his final sessions at 7:30. He's like, yep, you can use the gym from 7:30 to as late as you want. Just make sure you shut the lights off and lock the door, and you're good to use it. So
that's nice.
Yeah, he let me use his facility, and it worked out really well. But I started that, and he was doing his thing, I was doing my own thing. But so I started that. He moved, and I lost that facility, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Right. So it was funny. I got introduced to another group here in town, which was nice because that was up in Rigby.
Yeah.
There's another group called Empire Strength and Fitness here in town. If you guys have heard of those guys.
They just opened
up the new big gym over here, over by Vision Collision. Yep.
Yeah, it's by Center Stage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, it is. So I ran into those guys and met them, and I was like, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'd like to bring my football training business to your guys' gym. Like, is it okay if I used your space? And they were totally like, yeah, like whatever, super cool. Let's meet up next week and we'll go from there. And I was like, okay, yeah, sweet. So we're good. I got it going. We're rolling. And I was coaching at Skyline at the time. So I hadn't started yet.
As the football coach.
Yeah,
at Skyline?
I was the wide receivers coach there.
Okay.
So the next week I come in, and I was like, I brought all here's my numbers. This is what I want. Here's my kids. Like, this is my schedule. What do you guys think? And they were like, yeah, totally. And they're like, do you do speed and agility as well? And I was like, I've done it before. I can learn how to do it.
Yeah.
So they were like, would you
Yeah.
want to run speed and agility and your football position work out of our gym as well? And
do they have a turf field?
Oh yeah, we have turf inside.
Cool.
From the previous gym, actually, we ended up buying that same turf. So it's the same
funny.
turf in there. And anyway, they were like, do you want to do that? And I was like, oh yeah, totally. So now I'm doing both, and that's how I ended up with both.
Cool.
12th man football and Protocol 12. They
Gotcha.
one started it, and then the other one was kind of born out of it, and now we do both. So no, it's been super cool. And I've been able to work with a lot of athletes and give them that next level training. I believe it to be at least, and they believe it as well. That's the most important part. And they buy into it, and it's been a really good thing. We've got a lot of good things coming up out of it.
Yeah.
Cool. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
So when did it officially start? I don't remember when did you say
officially start.
Yeah.
So it officially started. So I had always, it's actually
like, I guess you could say
story.
it officially started at the last gym that you were doing.
Sure.
Rigby.
I could say, so I guess if you really want to pick a start date, when COVID happened, they sent all of us home. All college athletes, we got sent home.
All right. You were in school then.
Yeah,
still, huh?
I was in school. It was crazy
Okay.
actually when it happened. So we were at practice. This is when I was at Utah State. We were literally at practice, and in the middle of practice, or like near the end, not really the middle, but near the end, they pulled us in. They're like, hey, everybody, practice is off. We're done. Go home, wait in your dorms. And we were all like, what's going on?
Right.
Like, it was doomsday.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I got to my apartment. We sat there for probably like an hour, and we got a message from the team Snap app or whatever we were on. And they were like, you know what, we're shutting down for the week. Nobody's allowed up on the facilities. Nobody, don't
And they were
leave.
just being vague. They weren't.
They were just
telling
being
you
super
because
vague. They weren't really telling us what was going on. Like, I had no idea. So
they probably didn't even know.
if you have to go, if you have to
Yeah.
go on campus and take your tests or whatever, you can do that. So I go up to campus and I take my math test. I do it, whatever I get out. You have to turn your phone off when you go up and test into the testing center. Get out, turn my phone on. They're like, yeah, we're shut down for a week. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the next day they text us and they're like, yeah, we're definitely closed. Like, whatever you need to do, you can do. Like, if you need to go home, whatever. We'll bring you guys back.
Were you on a scholarship?
What's that?
Were you on a scholarship?
I was. So I wasn't when I first started, but when I got there, I ended up earning my way on.
So did they just keep with the scholarships? Like, what did they do with all that?
Yeah.
When
So
you guys went home?
you just stayed on scholarship.
Yeah.
Yep. You just stayed on
Well, that's good.
scholarship. So, We
Like
got
waiting in
sent
your
home,
room?
yeah, and they were like, "We'll bring you guys back in next week. You know, we're good." And
Next week.
so we were like, "Okay, yeah, cool."
Yeah,
So
right.
I went home. I packed all my stuff. I went back home. I came back here to Idaho Falls, and I waited the week out, and I kept my phone on. And they were like, "Oh, we'll bring you back next week," and then a week turned into a month. And then
Yeah.
a month turned into another month, and it did it again
so
and
crazy.
again and again.
Yeah.
And they ended up not bringing us back in till October.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, at the beginning of
Oh.
October. Yeah,
So
and
I guess
it was
that
weird.
like, did it go into summer and then they like?
It went into summer even. Yeah,
Yeah.
I stayed home all the way up until summer. So they actually brought us back one time, and then they sent us back home again for 2 weeks because we had a big outbreak inside the
Oh
facility.
my God.
So I was there. We came back in September. They sent us home for 2 weeks. We came back in October,
Mhm.
and we didn't play our first game until Halloween, actually. Yeah, against Halloween.
So that's not
It
much
was
time
weird.
at all after being gone that
no,
long.
it was a
It's
month.
like, yeah.
It was a month. So anyway,
Were your
while I was
coaches in touch with you that whole time? You guys
Oh
were
yeah,
off with
we had
training.
we had Zoom meetings probably twice a week. Yeah, we had Zoom meetings still, going over film, going over concepts and
There's
everything.
no way
So-
they'd let you off that easy.
No. They
You're still
sent
doing
us.
classes too, like you're doing school, like school at home. Or what-
Yeah. So for that first little bit, because it was in March. So March, April, you were doing class. So then the rest of the time we were off. May, June, July. We were off. We were pretty good there. But anyway, when I was home during COVID, I just like, well, I might as well do something with my free time. And so I kind of started training some of the neighborhood kids that lived near me that, were younger. They were younger kids trying to get better.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where it started for me. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, I kind of enjoy this. And I had always helped coach my little brother when I was in high school with my dad. My dad coached their teams, and I always just had a knack for it. I like to help kids and like to see kids succeed. So it started there. It moved its way up, during COVID. Then when I came back home, my wife and I got married, and we decided to move back here. I transferred to Idaho State, and I just kind of stayed in it when I was home during the summers when I had a little bit of free time. And then when I finished, I tried it out, popped off. One thing led to the next, and then the next. And
So it's like you already
Nice.
had your
boom.
foot in this.
I already
like,
had my
you
foot in the
knew
door.
It was working.
I knew
it was great.
working. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So anyway, yeah,
that's exciting.
Yeah. Where'd
That's
the
the
name
start.
come from?
the name,
Yeah.
the names. It's really, that's honestly the number 12 is the number I wore.
Okay.
And so I really like the number 12. I'm also a super big Tom Brady fan. I wasn't growing up, but as I got older and as I started to mature a little bit,
You realize how good he
realize
really
how
is.
good he really is.
Yeah.
And I always used to, like, even when I was in high school, like there was always YouTube videos that kids would watch. They'd watch the hype videos, and I always watch the hype videos, but I would always watch. There used to be a YouTube video called "The Comeback Kid" on YouTube about Tom Brady, and it's just the coolest thing. Like, I just think he has a super cool story. He's always the underdog, always, like one of those guys that's just doubted, and now he's, he worked hard, he did his part, and now he's, probably the best there'll ever be. So, I wore number 12 in high school. I wore number 12 in college, and I was like, why not
Yeah.
make it number 12? Why not? It's kind of my thing.
So these kids come to you with just like their basic understanding of what
Sure.
sports are.
Sure.
Where do you even start with trying to explain a concept like this to them that usually you don't learn until
For sure.
college level?
For sure. Honestly, really, when it comes to when they come in, for example, for position training with 12th man football, when they come in, I have an idea of a lot of these kids anyway, because I am in the coaches circle. I already coach at a high school, at Skyline High School as a receivers coach.
Is that
So
where
I
some
know
of them are coming from?
some
Or
of them come, they come from everywhere. I have kids as far north as Sugar Salem, from as far south as Pocatello. Like, I have a bunch of kids from all over the area. So
Traveling.
I've had a long reach,
Yeah.
and they all traveled this
Nice.
far to come in.
That's great.
So it's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But really, I have an idea of the kids that are coming in. Like, I know who they are. And most of the time, the kids that come in, and I don't mean to say this rudely, but
Yeah.
most of the kids that come in already have a pretty good understanding. They just need the fine tuning part of everything, if that makes sense. They need more of the specifics. So, for example, with a receiver, most kids know how to run routes. What position did you play?
Corner. And then played free safety a little bit in college.
We don't like corners. No, I'm just kidding. Receivers don't like corners.
No.
But no, we
let's go in the hall right now.
Yeah, no, let's do it. Let's run it. So like most kids have a pretty good understanding of how to run routes and how to do, navigate their way versus, cover 1, cover 2, corner, all that stuff. Really, like it's the specifics. Like, okay, hey, if this guy's playing man press on me, what kind of release am I going to use? How do I work a 1-step release? How do I get him to open up his hips? How do I use a split release? How do I, gain my leverage?
Basically learning their position so
exactly
how to use it against
them.
them.
It's really just giving them the tools. Really what we do is with that 12th man football side of things is we give them the tools to be better. And like I said, I mean, for example, like with receivers, I can give you a bunch of releases like split release. There's, the 1-step jab, 2-step jab, 3-step jab, those basic releases, but then there's more advanced ones, like dive release, diamond release, all those crazy things. But really it's just teaching these kids those tools like, hey, here's this, let's work it. Let's try it. If it works for you, use it. If it doesn't work for you, you don't have to use it. I'm going to teach it to you anyway. Like, it's really giving these kids the tools and allowing them to build their own tool belt at the end of the day. So that's kind of how we roll with the 12th man football side of things. And then with the protocol 12 side of things, everything we do is mainly speed work. Just trying to get kids faster. We don't really touch the weight room. We're starting to get into that side of things just because there's more athletes that are coming in and there's more of a need for it. But at the end of the day, we come in, we test these kids. I have, the laser gates and everything. We're going to become a speed lab, which is really cool. Universal speed rating. If you guys have heard of those guys, there's only 80 in the United States, and we're an elite company with that.
You have to have the gear to do it.
Anyway, yeah, they give you gear, they supply you with a program and software. And anyway, I usually, what we do is test kids and try to get them to advance through programming and try to test them about once a month. And most of the time they continue to step it up every single time we test. And it's super cool. Super cool to see.
I'm sure having the legit equipment makes it way more fun for them.
Yeah. It makes it fun for them.
I didn't see any of that until college.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super cool. Like, so, with that universal speed rating thing, which is super cool. And we can probably talk about that later in this, but, they gave us some speed gates, which are super cool. Those laser timers. So, it's a little bit unique for some of these kids because they've never seen that kind of gear. Like this is
all their 40s are going down.
Some of them are like, oh yeah, I run a 4.6 or I run a 4.5. Right. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm like, you guys don't like, let's get real times and we'll see. So most of those, 4.5s and 4.6s are now 4.7s and 4.8s, which is okay. I mean, it's legit. Nobody really, the only people that use lasers are the combine, but it's like, why not get validated numbers, like real numbers, so that you understand really where you're at. So it's not like, oh yeah, I run a 4.5. And it's like nobody happened to ask you if it was a laser time or if it was a stopwatch time. You know what I mean?
Your coach being like, and
boom,
like, that
4.4.
looks close. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sweet. Let's go. Oh yeah, I run 4.4. So then you go off to college and you guys end up running 40 and you're telling everybody, oh yeah, I ran 4.4. And then you run like a 4.8. And it's like, oh no, come on, man. But yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
What ages?
So actually, So we do 4th graders all the way up to high school, and then college guys when they're home. So local guys, like I said,
separate classes.
Separate classes. Yeah. So we go youth, which is 5th and 6th. Hybrid is what I call it, but it's really just middle school. It's a cool name. Why not? 7th and 8th graders, sometimes 9th graders. If our high school sessions start to overfill, which is 9th graders to high schoolers, and then college guys, I usually just let them sneak in when they're home with the high schoolers.
So a lot of these kids, they're all on different teams, right? It's not
they're all on different teams. Yep, they're from all different schools. Like I mean, I've got kids, like Sugar, Rexburg, Rigby, Idaho Falls,
teams that play
Thunder
against
Ridge.
each other.
Yeah, kids.
So they get to meet each other. They get to meet each other. Season, they'll see each other on the field.
Exactly. And
do you see that often?
What do you mean?
With kids on your team, seeing other teams and like knowing the kids.
Oh yeah.
And, like having a relationship a little bit.
Well, and it's cool. It makes it that much better. Like I like the aspect of it where like my high school group, for example, like all the kids are, I mean, they're from all different schools. There's a couple of them that, know each other because they're on the same team.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of
Different
others that are from
positions.
different positions,
Yeah.
different, different schools. And so it's cool when we're in the gym setting because they're all, buddy, and we're working hard and we're all getting after it because we all have the same goal in mind is get better.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it's just cool to see that. And then it translates onto the field. Then they compete against each other, which
Yeah.
is super cool to me. That's like my favorite part.
Especially
it's
if they're like using techniques you
like,
showed.
they work hard together in the
That's
off
funny.
season. So then when we separate in season, they end up competing against each other.
That's
and
cool.
They go crazy. They go crazy. So it's super cool. It's fun, but I think it's important that kids like build that relationship too, because I mean, at the end of the day, like there's no relationship stronger than the ones that you create in sports, in my opinion. Like all the relationships that I hold really close to me have been made through sports, whether it was because I trained with you, whether it's because I played with you, whether it's because I played against you, or whether you're my coach. Like it's a super like a tight knit relationship once it builds itself. And that's my favorite part is the kids build relationships with each other through, what we're doing and throughout their high school careers and playing against each other and competing against each other and competing with each other at our gym.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
think
really cool.
I think it's cool that you're bringing that up, that higher level of knowledge to it. Cause I mean, some kids just want to play for fun, but a lot of kids do have the idea of going on
Big goals.
longer.
Exactly.
And it's like, if you can just get them ahead a little bit, then why not?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's really
super.
cool.
Yeah. Super big.
Along that line, like with me, I played corner and
Sure.
safety, which are like the worst positions I could have picked for my
hard.
size and stature.
It's hard.
So I wish someone would have told me at the time, like, dude, come be realistic
another
with yourself.
goal.
Be like a slot receiver or something
sure.
where you actually have a chance of
For
like
sure.
going to the down the road. Cause like when I got to college, I was like, what am I doing?
For
like
sure.
corner, there's like 6'3" corners over here.
Yeah.
Like, why would I ever play before them? Like,
For sure.
So I wish someone would have brought like that, just like real.
Do you ever do
like
that?
realness? Yeah. Do you tell kids like, look, man, maybe you should try this position? Or
You know
like,
what? The one thing that I do, I don't really try to tell kids like to play but different positions because most of them have an idea what position they want to be. So when I played, so it's actually funny. So when I was going to college so high school, I played running back, receiver, that kind of a player.
Okay.
When I went to college, my coaches always told me I was a linebacker or safety or whatever. And I was like, no, I'm like darn determined that I am a running back, receiver type body. So my first year I went to Utah State, they actually moved me to safety my redshirt year. And I was like, I hate being a safety. Like,
it's
I hate
so
this.
different.
So different.
Yeah. Just like mindset too. It's like,
But it was good because I learned another side of the ball, and it was just good. It's a good experience because now I'm able to teach it, obviously, for one, but for two, it gave me a completely different perspective. So then the next season, they ended up moving me over to running back, which was cool, back to where I wanted to be. And, life was good. And then, COVID happened, and then my wife and we moved back here. And then when I got to Idaho State, they moved me again, and they were like, oh, you played receiver in high school too. We want you to play receiver. So then they end up moving me receiver. It's quite an interesting journey, but
it's cool that you could do all that.
Yeah. It's cool that I can do all that because I know it all and I know how to teach it all. But I try not to tell kids like, hey, this is probably what's going to happen, or, hey, this is what you should be, or this is what you should not be doing. I just, I want them to succeed where they're at currently. The one thing I do try to tell kids, because I have a lot of kids, obviously, most of the kids that come in are kids that are like serious, like, oh, I want to go on
because they're paying,
and they're paying for it, and they're making the sacrifices. They take it serious. Like they're like, I want to go big time.
Doing
I want
these
to go to the next
practices
level
outside of their regular practices.
I want to go big time, and it's like, okay. And I was like, the one thing, and in fact, I actually had this conversation with one kid last night. Three of them. We were talking because they were asking me, did I like college football? I was like, I loved it. I was like, but like, understand, it's very different. Like, you think it's for fun. It's to wear the jersey. You see all the glitz and the glam, and it's not the glitz and the glam. And I'm not saying that to like scare people. I always tell them, like, I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm just telling you the truth here.
They
like,
own
it is
you when you go there. Yeah.
You are a piece of livestock.
Yep.
And you don't have a life. Like, it's wake up, go to film, go to practice, go to weights, go to school, go to practice again after film, go back to weights, eat dinner. You maybe have an hour of free time. You're probably doing homework.
That's
shower.
why we get to hang out with
I
you.
don't know how it is now,
Yeah.
but when I was at ISU, we were on the I don't know what they call it, but where the GPA was just like awful. So we had to have like extra extra study time. So it was like morning time, afternoon study hall. It was just like an insane amount of study hall where it was like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
Like,
So like I tell these kids, like
you have to.
Yeah, you think it, and it is fun. Like don't get me wrong, don't get it twisted.
It's still so fun.
But you have to like. You kind of have to be partially psychotic. Like you have to love it. Like you have to be all for it and in it. Otherwise, it's just.
By my third year of being a walk-on, I was just like, "What am I like? This is not that fun anymore."
Right, exactly.
This kind of
so
sucks.
I try to keep it real with the kids. Like understand. Like I wish somebody would have kept it real with me.
Sure. Yeah.
And so whenever I have the chance to let these kids know, like, it's great experience, I loved it, but I also want you to understand, like, I'm trying to help you understand what you're getting into and what you want to do. And if it works out, great. Like, I think that's awesome. I just remember, like, it's not for everybody, and that's okay. That's okay. Like, it is not a big deal. Like, sports doesn't define your life. It doesn't define anything about you. It's a privilege. And a privilege can be had and a privilege can be taken away, and all those things. Just understand, like, this is real deal, and it's a job, and they own you, and it's not for fun anymore. It's the real deal.
But I'm sure hearing that, and then if they do experience it, they probably are like more ready for it.
Yeah,
mentally.
Exactly.
Like, okay, he said this would happen. Like, this is one of those moments.
Yeah,
I just got to get through it.
For sure.
Get to the good times.
For sure. Yeah. You got to get through the struggle, and eventually it turns itself around, and then it's a good time. But yeah, try to keep it real with the guys.
Yeah.
Cool. Sure. So you've been doing this for a few years now. Have you seen kids go on from high school to college and succeed?
I've actually had the chance to work with a couple of kids. A lot of the kids that I've worked with are already, they're starting to grow to the point where it is moving on. Like, so I guess what I'm trying to say is I've worked with kids that are younger. Most of my clientele was started young, and now they're, getting into high school. Some of them are juniors to be seniors. Some of them are sophomores to be juniors. So it's starting to really catch fire. I've had the chance to work with a couple of really good athletes from the area. Kenyon Sadiq, who's at Oregon right now, played at Skyline High School. He was one of my receivers there. He actually trained, this is before I started my thing, but he trained in Boise with another group called Rare Academy, and they do some really good stuff. I actually look up to those guys a lot. They're super cool. But he did some training up there, and when I was able to be his coach for his senior year at Skyline, we developed a pretty good relationship. And when he comes home, he swings by the gym usually and gets a little bit of work in. So I had the chance to work with him. I still get the chance to talk to him and mentor him here and there when I get the chance. And then the Klinger kid from Shelley, who's up at Boise State right now, playing safety. So those are two kids that I get to work with. There's a couple other kids at Montana Tech, Idaho State that I work with. So I've had the chance to work with kids that have been able to go on to the next level. I'm just starting to have kids though, where they're getting looks and they're getting offers, and coaches are like, oh, this kid's legit. And it's just really starting to catch
exciting
speed for most of those kids, because it's not, and it is exciting because it's kids that I've worked with. Yeah. It's not kids that I've, just kind of been handed over, kind of, you know what I'm saying?
You did effort.
I put my effort, my brand into it. And I still do with the kids that, have already made it and come home, and, I stepped in their final year of their senior year or whatever, got the chance to work with them. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, it's cool to see your product itself start to catch fire a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So,
especially if you're working with them from that younger age, where you actually have time to make a pretty good impact.
Like, I have kids that I've worked with when they were in I don't know, like 6th grade, and now they're starting to, get emails from coaches from, Idaho State or Weber or wherever. It's like, hey, we'd like to see you at camp this summer. We think you have tools necessary. We'd like to get a better look at you this summer. So it's just cool, because then they're like, oh my gosh, like I've got, hey, I always get every single day or almost every other day, like, kids that I train, like, hey, so-and-so texted me, Weber State texted me. What do I say back? Like, oh, I want to get after it now. Like, let's get after it. And it's like, for sure. Like, let's do it. That's what I like to see, where my kids start to flip the switch. It's like, oh my gosh, this can be real.
Yeah, now the
this
motivation is in
now
there.
it's there. So now, like, let's now let's start going.
Yeah.
So it's cool though to see, your product, like I said, catch fire at the end of the day. See those kids that you spent so much time and energy with, it starts to pay off for them in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Are there any obstacles that you've had on your journey here?
Obstacles on here? Honestly, and I don't mean to say this. I honestly, I swear I'm a humble person, but honestly, I have pretty good relationships here. Like I said, I'm from here. I know a lot of people, or at least I think I do. And if you haven't met me or you don't know me, you know of me. Okay. That's usually what people say. Like if you don't know me, you know of me. You've heard it somewhere. So honestly, when it comes to getting myself out there, I haven't had a super difficult time. The one thing that I've actually started to run into, and this goes back to the fact that we have a bunch of kids starting to like, oh my gosh, like I want to get into this, is finding people that can help me run it. Yeah. That's my one.
That's hard to let go. Like it's my baby.
It's hard to let go of some kids because if I could, I would train every single kid in the area. Like just because that's who I am. Like I would love to do that, but it's not realistic. Like I need to have a life and I need to make it more, I need to make it personable for everybody. Like I can't have 74 kids in one class. I mean, that's obviously super exaggerated.
Just comes down to like a literal time thing.
Yeah. Like it comes down to time and it comes down to ability really at the end of the day. Like I said, I can't do everybody. So I'm getting to the point though, where it's like,
it doesn't hit the same if you have groups like that and everyone's just spread out doing like, round one, round two over here. Like you need that one-on-one.
Yeah. You need that one-on-one. And so I need to be able to find people that can do it. And that's the thing that's probably hard for me is like, I'm super finicky. You know what I mean? And I want it done a specific way.
So I assume you're pretty honest as a coach?
I am pretty honest.
Calling people out when
I'm pretty honest.
They need to be?
Yep. I'm pretty honest. So I like to keep things a certain way and I want things done a certain way. And I want certain people, like I want good coaches working with kids because there are those coaches out there that are not good people and not good influences and are just non-motivating, not fun either. Like I like to look at myself as pretty fun coach too. Like, we work hard. Yeah, I'm gonna get after you, but we're gonna have fun doing it at the same time. Like I'm gonna lift you up after I get after you. And there's a lot of coaches that just want to tear people down. That's my biggest fear is I don't want kids getting torn down
because you're not supposed to infiltrate.
No, exactly.
That's not what the whole point
kids
of it is.
That come in, like when you come in and train, it's supposed to be the best part of your day. Like you are supposed to enjoy it. And that's like the misconception. Even when I was in high school and college, like it's like Monday through Thursday sucks because it's practice. It's like, oh, I hate practice. I hate training. I hate but Friday it's fun. Like why can't it be fun every day? Why not? Where does it start? It comes with the coaches. It comes with the program. It comes with the relationship. It's a mindset.
How you approach everything.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's really my biggest thing is my biggest struggle that I've started to confront most recently, just with the number of kids that we're starting to get. Yeah. It's like, okay, now I'm in the zone of where
next step growing.
I need to grow. I'm growing.
Yeah.
I need people to join me and help me train these kids. It's just a matter of finding people that can do it.
Do you feel like the things that you've learned are things that you can teach to other coaches to pass on to the kids?
Yeah, I think so. And like I said, it's not, I can teach the coaches and it's not a matter of like, oh, you can't learn it and you can't, understand the things that I've learned and whatnot. It's just, like I said, it's more of what kind of a coach are you versus, what do you know? Like you could know everything in the world as a coach and you could have all this knowledge and experience, but if you don't know how to relay it to athletes in a good way and in a motivating way, it's just no good. It doesn't matter. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It can ruin the experience.
It can ruin it
for
immediately.
Yeah.
Like that's why most kids quit sports and don't do it anymore. It's because bad coaches.
Yeah, absolutely.
You always talked about hating your coaches.
Yeah, I could go off on that.
But. For sure. No, and it's the truth. Like most people quit sports because they hate their coaches or the coaches are just don't know what they're doing. That's the thing. Like if I do get after a kid, like it's in a positive way. It's not like a, F you, what the F is your problem? Like freaking out at them. Like, it's like, no, hey, like I've seen you do better. Now I need you to do it. Like pull your head out. Let's go. Like I've seen it. Now do it. That kind of thing. Like it's intense, but it's like, I'm not sitting there like completely pulling
like
you down.
Losing your cool.
No, exactly.
Like,
it's not. It's like pull it out, dude. Like you've set a standard. Now I need you to meet that standard or get past it.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's like how
not
hard is
exactly
that for all
like
the
that,
coaches?
but like for podcast purposes, like you
that's
know,
the toned down
you
version.
get, it's the very toned down, appropriate version.
You seem very aware of all of those aspects, so I believe you.
Yeah, for sure. So it's like I said, it's what kind of a person are you?
That's really
what
cool.
kind of a mentor are you to these?
So I guess
to these athletes.
going off of
important.
that, how do you balance your like work-life balance since you said you're so busy with this?
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's
You said you
super
have
hard.
a child too.
I have a child.
So you're busy.
So I have a wife and I have a 1-year-old at home. And luckily for me, I'm very lucky because she allows me to do what I love to do at the end of the day. So it's super, it's worked out. She supports me fully in allowing me to do what I do. And she actually comes around every once in a while to the gym to watch the kids anyway. She actually knows a lot of the kids that I train too.
Good.
Did she play sports?
Yeah, she did. She actually played basketball.
Okay.
She went to Skyline actually. So
she understands all that goes into it.
Yeah, we've known each other actually since middle school. So she kind of understood what she was getting into. Like she ended up going to Utah State. I ended up going to Utah State. So we dated throughout middle school and high school and college. And, obviously one thing led to the next. We ended up married, and she ended up like, part of it was like, I was like, okay, understand, like in some fashion or another, I'm sure football will always, or training at least, or sports, athletics, whatever, will always be some part of our lives, for a while at least. And this is at the time when I was playing sports, and then sports ended, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure like we're good. I'll finish school out. I'll go to do medical school, whatever.
What were you studying when you went to school?
Health sciences.
Okay.
Yeah. Human biology.
So did you go to medical school?
I did not.
Yeah.
Nope, I haven't. I have the chance to decide if I want to or not, but I am TBD.
Yeah.
TBD on that, because
that one.
I like doing what I'm doing. It's funny. I actually, so in conjunction to the two things I do, I actually have my own 7-on-7 program. Premier teams here from the area. It's called Idaho Air Raid.
Okay.
We actually just got back from a tournament in Ogden just this past weekend.
How'd it go?
It went really good, actually. One of our teams made it to championship. We got walked, but it's okay. We made it that far. We're getting better. Most of the kids that play in the program actually have never played 7-on-7. Some of them have. And the team that made it, they're kids that have played on 7-on-7 teams before. It's a different pace of game. Kids don't understand. Like, it's really good. And a lot of coaches will talk smack on 7-on-7, but it's actually really good. Like, I think
loved it.
You can't hide behind the pads anymore. Yeah. It's fast paced. It's going. You have to have absolute schematic understanding and absolute skill. And there's nothing you can do to hide from it. You can't hide behind pads. You can't, there's nothing. You will get exposed at one point or another. And it's good though. It's good. It builds confidence. I think 7-on-7 is one of the biggest confidence boosters for athletes of all time, specifically football players, like, especially if you play defense.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say,
you will get burned.
So you're going to build your confidence or just totally break it.
Yeah, you will get routed. But that's the thing, is like, it's so fast. The game is so fast. You don't have time to falter to it. Like, it's like, okay, oh my gosh, I got to get to the next play. Like, we got to go.
Yeah.
Because they're only 25 minutes games. Like, it's like, let's
forget about whatever.
The whole game is 25 minutes.
Next.
Usually run like 3 or 4 games.
That's nice though.
Yeah, it's nice, but it's
nice.
like super quick. Being a coach is tough because it's like, one
it's
thing,
over
it's
so
boom, 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 boom. Like, it's like, whoa, like everything's super fast. But what was the original question? We
were just talking about the 7v7 that you have going on.
Yeah, no. So anyway,
going to medical school.
I talked to a doctor. So one of the kids on my team, his dad's a doctor. I'm not going to say who it is, but it was so funny because me and my wife have been talking about it lately, and
if you should pursue it.
If we should pursue it.
That's
and this guy, he's a doctor, like, and he's a very notable doctor in the area. Yeah. I'm not going to say who it is, but he looked me square in the eye. He said, don't do it. Do not do it. He's like, the days of university are over, my friend. Yeah. Like, it's not it. So part of me, when I heard that,
like, that's the honesty that you give to the kids with football.
Yeah. Like, I was sitting there, like, I was like, oh my goodness, like, this is like the voice of God. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh my goodness.
You're like,
you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, wow. like that's something I felt like I needed to hear at that moment. So anyway, after hearing that, I've been thinking about it a lot this weekend, and I'm like, what?
Just times have changed
Yeah.
for
times have changed.
What makes you happy? Because it seems like coaching makes you happy.
Right. Exactly. And it does.
I'm sure like maybe helping people would make you happy being a doctor, but it's different.
Happy medium.
It's different.
Yeah.
That way you can live your life.
Do I really feel like going in $100,000 in debt just to help people? You know what I mean?
Like if anything,
and then
put
years and years and years.
Maybe do some like classes or something to become more skilled in like a nutritionist or strength training coach. And I don't know, like to enhance what you're already doing as a trainer. Yeah.
It's like the freedom of your life and like getting to really enjoy your life.
Exactly.
Important these
days. Which is probably why you started this whole thing.
Yeah. Just to enjoy it. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I enjoy helping athletes, and I really, at the end of the day, I enjoy building relationships with kids. I mean, like I said, I'm 23. So that's one thing that resonates with kids.
Can really relate.
Like, we can relate is like, I'm 100%. Your same age. Yeah. We're the same age. Like, yeah, you're 18. I'm 23. I'm only 5 years older than you, but I've been through it. Yeah. And I'm done now. So
they can trust you. Let
me guide you through the process. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of trainers out there and they're really great, but you're not recent. The game's changed so much nowadays, specifically at the college level. I mean, you take NIL, it's a thing now. The transfer portal is a thing now. Everybody on planet Earth wants to play college football now. Social media is a huge one. I mean, it's a big deal. Like, it's changed so much that if you haven't been in it recently, it's hard to teach the kids what to expect because it's a completely different dynamic than it was even 5 years ago. Yeah. 5 years, like, it's changed literally probably in the last 2 or 3 years, the whole game and everything. Like, and I think the biggest contributing factor is social media.
100%.
Kids, I mean, you can build a brand for yourself, and it's about networking and who you know, who you've come into contact with. And I'm not saying that it's not about how good you are, because that's obviously part of it. You can't just play because
people will see
you want to play. Like, we'll see. The film speaks for itself, but at the same time, who do you know?
Yeah, you can do more for yourself.
Who have you talked to? What connections do you have?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
So it's and then what's your brand? How do you market yourself as a person, as a player?
Like,
it's a big deal.
And is that really something that you help them navigate?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's one thing. Like, we have conversations. I'm going to start kind of taking that one a little bit more seriously, actually starting next month. Actually, we'll actually bring kids in that are going out to camps this summer, kids that are, trying to navigate the recruiting process, those things that they need to do. We're going to just meet up probably once a week over Zoom and start talking about like, hey, talk about utilizing social media, talk about what camps you need to go to, what camps you don't need to go to, like what to spend your money on, what not to spend your money on. When you go to those camps at big universities and a coach comes and talks to you, like, what do you say? What do you get? Get his phone number, get his email, keep in contact, send film, how to build film, where to send it, where to post it. All those different things. So that's another part of everything we do. There's a bunch of stuff that goes into it. And that's the thing. Like, I just, honestly, I probably do it to my own detriment, but it's okay. Like, I try to go above and beyond for every single kid that comes through. Like, I tell my wife, and I tell even the parents and even the kids, like, like I said, I have a 1-year-old son. Most of these kids are,
like, unlocks
older.
The thing
they're
in you
fourth.
when you have your own
I'm
kid
like,
too.
I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I treat every single one of you like you're my own kid. If I had you, and I'll go above and beyond to like, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what not to do. I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to keep it honest with you. If you ever need anything, let me know. Like, at 23 years old, I feel like that's one thing that separates me from most is it's like, I'm going to go way out of my way to make sure we give you everything that we can, or at least I give you everything that I can. And like I said, just go really far beyond to make it a great experience for you and hopefully fulfill your desires at the end of the day, your dreams and what you choose to strive to achieve.
Yeah. These are like kids' dreams.
Yeah,
like
they are dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got kids' dreams in the palm of your hand. And that's something that I try not to take lightly. Like, it's really a big deal. Like, and that's the thing. There's a lot of trainers out here. It's like, it can be nice. The money can be nice. It really can. But you have to remember, like, you, in the palm of your hand, you have kids' dreams. You have athletes' dreams. Like
children.
This is what they want. This is what they live for. This is what they breathe. So you kind of have to take that perspective of the money out of it. And it's like, okay, like, yeah, they're paying you, but I have to do everything I can to help this kid succeed. Because this is, like I said, for me, my mindset is, it's like you once had that same dream, you had that same desire, and
where it was all you cared about.
Now there's athletes that have given you their trust and everything about it to you. And now it's your turn to return the favor, I guess, in a way. But it's just something that I take a little bit more serious. And I think that's what separates is there's just not very many people that do that. They see the paycheck and they see, oh, I've got 100 kids. And it's like, oh, I get, I'm collecting $200 a kid or $300 a kid, whatever kid, people charge. Like, it's like, no, that's wrong. Like, that's not how this should be. Your mindset should be is like, I have a kid who has this desire. Now let's get him there. Let's push him. So anyway. Yeah.
Do you find that parents are the ones that find you, or like kids word of mouth?
It's a good mix of both. Yeah. It's a good mix of both. Like I said, being a coach helps already, or having been a player, actually starting there helps. Yeah. Locally and at the collegiate level helps. People know the story. Then being a coach for a short time at Skyline High School also helps. Like, I'm already still in the game, like, obviously. And then, already having worked with kids in the past, it's all kind of a culmination of everything. Yeah. So it is a lot of word of mouth, because lots of kids are like, oh yeah, this is my guy. This is who I train with, whether it's they pop off on film during the season, or whether they run, a super fast 40 time in weights or whatever it might be. Yeah. So lots of kids find it. Usually if it's kids, it's over DM, like Instagram. They see it through Instagram. And they just send me a DM. It's like, hey, how do I get into your training? I send them all the information they need. Then usually when I get like a message on Messenger from Facebook, it's usually parents. Yeah. So it's a good mix of both. It's a good mix of both.
Have you met other coaches since you've been doing this? Like position coaches at other schools, since these players are going back to their coaches now?
Sure. And you know what? It's how do I say this? I know a lot of them already. Okay. Just because I was either coached by them at one point, or I played with them at one point, played against them at another point. At least around here.
They do kind of stick around.
They all kind of stick around here.
You know some people who are coaches around here too.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Mike Berger.
Yeah, that's my man. I love Mike Berger. Yeah, Michael Berger's over at Thunder Ridge. So I coach. So his dad's the coach at Skyline.
Gotcha.
Scott Berger. So that's who I coach for.
That's right.
And he coaches at Thunder Ridge.
Gotcha. Yeah, I played with him at ISU. And he was awesome.
Yeah, he's the man. He's so awesome. Yeah. I freaking love that dude.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, he's super awesome. So like I know a bunch of coaches around here, but having played at the college level, which is cool. This is the cool part. Is I have a lot of connections with coaches that coached me at college, but they all, at this point now, have all kind of spread out to different schools. Like, I have coaches
that helps a bit.
Yeah.
That I know at like BYU. I know coaches at Utah State that are still there, Idaho State, Weber.
And they know you're doing what you're doing.
And they know I'm doing what I'm doing. So like, for example, with the 7-on-7 program that we're doing, every time we go out to a tournament, we'll go on a visit. So this weekend we went to the University of Utah. We went and walked the facilities there.
That's nice.
One of my weights coaches.
Even that experience alone is so cool.
Yep. One of my weights coaches that was there took us through everything, answered all the kids' questions, the team meeting room. And that's the biggest thing for me is I try to tell my kids like, hey, we're going to we're going to the University of Utah. Like, this is Big 12 football now. Like this is this is as big as it gets. Power 5. Like, ask your questions. Yeah. Come prepared. Like, don't look stupid and not ask any questions. If you really want to do this, you
have questions.
You better have some questions ready to go. Yeah. Like, you need to, and then have an iPad or your notebook or whatever you do and write it down, because you're going to forget it. Like, you gotta keep track of these things. So, anyway, that was just like a cool thing. Like, I can just call it. I facilitated it. Like, I can just call it. I call up my coach. Hey, coach, I got 100 kids. We're coming down for a tournament this weekend, Salt Lake. Is there any way we can do a walkthrough of the University of Utah football facilities on Friday morning? Yep. Gotcha. Like
right. That's a cool thing for them to get to show, future prospects.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we do it. It's like part of it, the first part of it is for kids to kind of be in that environment and envision themselves like, oh my goodness, like I could be here. Like I can see myself here. But then there's the other side is I've already got kids that have been to the camps, have already kind of built the network, and it's like, okay, we'll bring those guys into, and it's like, oh, here they are again. Like that's where the marketing comes in, like building really cool connections and networking. Yeah. So it's super cool. Like we'll go to, let's see, we went to Boise State, we went to Utah. We'll probably go to BYU. We'll go to Weber. We'll go to Idaho State still. We'll go to Utah State. We'll go probably to Montana State, just a bunch of different schools here in the area.
I bet you could even call schools that you didn't have coaches at.
Possibly.
Tell them what you're doing and everything, and they'd be
for sure. For sure. It just always, for sure. And they're usually, lots of coaches are cool about that. It just makes it easier when you know the person.
For sure.
And cooler when your kids get to see you know the people there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like we walked in, it was funny because we walked into the University of Utah. So I knew the coach because he was my weights coach. But as we were touring through the facilities, like one of the trainers that I worked with at Utah State had actually just he was only there for like a couple months and he was there and we ran into each other. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, what's up, dude? How are you doing? Like that was cool. And some of the kids were like, how do you know that kid? Or that guy? And it's like, oh, he was my athletic trainer when I was at Utah State. Or it's like, oh, how do you know this player? And it's like, oh, we played against each other.
They're like, all right, my coach wasn't
How do you
lying.
know this guy? Like, oh yeah, he recruited me when I was going through the recruiting process myself. Like it's super cool when those kids kind of see that. I think it's cool.
No, that is cool.
It's kind of fun.
It is cool.
You know what I mean? Cool. But it allows you to leverage, and that's the thing, like leveraging your connections, especially in the sports industry is big time. So that's one thing I try to do with that.
Yeah, good advice. So do you have advice for someone who's wanting to start their own business or pursue a dream?
Man, honestly, if that's crazy, like, cause we were talking about earlier, about how I was doing medical school and stuff like that. And I was dead set. Like I was like, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a PA, MD, whatever it is. I was dead set. Like there's nothing in the world that's going to change my mind on that. And after I, like I said, started kind of fiddling around with training and stuff like that, or I guess in a way owning your own business, little did I know it would become a full-fledged businesses.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, wow, like this can be a reality. So I guess anyway, my thing that I would say to people is like, if you want to do it, just do it. Like, don't hesitate. There's a reason that you feel a certain way that you feel. Now just pull the trigger and do it. Like, I don't know if that was appropriate analogy, but just do it. Seriously. Like that's all I can say.
Just tie up the laces.
And do it. Like, don't worry about what other people think. Like, don't worry about what everybody tells you. Don't worry about what makes the most money. Like, cause at the end of the day, money ain't going to go with you when you're done, when it's all said and done. Like it's what makes you happy with what you do. And for me, like, helping people makes me happy. Helping athletes and kids and other people makes me happy. I love it. Like nothing, if you're not in service of others, then what are you doing? That's kind of what I have always said to people. Like, why do you do what you do? And I was like, I just feel like if I wasn't serving others, what am I doing? Why am I alive? Like I should be trying to help in some facet in a way, but like, I guess my thing is, make an impact. But just because everybody's like I said, chasing the bag is cool. You know, if I just, do what makes you happy at the end of the day. And for me, it's helping athletes and helping kids achieve their dreams and hopefully pushing them to be not only better athletes, but hopefully at the end of the day with the style that I try to be is help them be a better person. Help them be a better person.
Like you're molding these humans.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're definitely helping them think bigger picture.
You really, at the end of the day, as a trainer, you are a teacher. Like
absolutely.
And you are a teacher, and you should not take it lightly with more influence really at the end of the day, because it's sports. It's something that all kids relate to in some form or another. And it's like, that's something that you shouldn't take lightly. Yeah. Like you interact, like honestly, a lot of these kids, I'm probably the third or fourth person on their list that they interact with the most. Mom, dad, siblings, and then probably me next. So like, what are you doing to influence these kids? What kind of impression are you making on these kids? Like, it's a super big deal that most people don't understand. I feel like, I feel like at a young age, I understand it pretty well. But yeah, no, for those aspiring to start their own business, just do it, man. Like it can't go wrong. If you love it, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
If there's anything we've learned from this podcast, it's just the people with the most passion are the ones that seem to be doing the best in their businesses.
For sure.
They don't tell me how much they make, but
But
just from what
happy.
you see and just like what their businesses look like from the outside, like you can tell who really, really cares and really likes what they do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So it's been fun and it'll continue to grow, I'm sure. Like I said, I mean, I'm entering a new month. This past month, we ended up between 12th man football and Protocol 12. We had about 115 kids.
Nice.
And it really, like I said, it started kind of taking itself off the ground. Probably, I mean, obviously that year ago when I was talking about being up in my buddy's facility in Rigby, but it's really started to catch fire in probably September-ish, and it just grows and grows and grows. And I'm, like I said, I'm at the point where
going up from there.
We need more coaches and we need more people to help me. And so it's just it's gonna keep going. And I mean, the goal at the end of the day is to make it a destination spot and be an absolute juggernaut when it comes to producing athletes here out of East Idaho.
That'd be really cool. So where can people find you if they want to be
for
trained
sure.
by you?
Yeah. So there's a couple places you can find me on Instagram and Facebook specifically. Those are a lot easier. You can find my personal, it's just my name, Oakley Hussey. And then obviously 12th Man Football is on Instagram and Facebook. Protocol 12 is on Instagram. I got to do a Facebook page. I just don't know how to work all that stuff, and I just don't have the time. It's crazy how to link everything. It's nuts. I don't know how to link everything.
It's so stupid.
Honestly, like I always tell people, like, hey man, if you're interested, and usually this is what I throw out on my posts, like just text my cell phone number 208-716-9691. Yep. Or send me a DM, and I'll send you everything you need to know, and we just kind of go from there. It's a super easy process. Like I've got somebody working on a website for me just because I don't know how to do that kind of stuff. I prefer more like person-to-person interaction. Like I don't want to chat with you over a computer or email. Like I like to at least give you a phone call, or I like to text you.
But the young kids are also reaching out to you. They'll send you a text.
And they'll send me a text. So I'm good with that too. And but yeah, that's probably the easiest way to find me is either text or DM, Instagram, Facebook, just like normal.
Awesome.
Okay.
These days. So
all right, you all heard him say it.
Yeah. My number was on there, so don't abuse the power with my cell phone number. But if you're interested,
it really fast. You'll have to pause it and go back a couple times.
Yep. I said it fast on purpose. I didn't. If you were really serious about it, then you'll pause it and really get every single number.
Write down each letter.
So if you weren't serious about it and you're just trying to scam me, you probably won't get the number right. So, which is a good thing. It's good for me because my phone already blows up. So,
okay.
No, I appreciate you guys. This is awesome. Let's do this again. This is awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome learning about you.
I think this is great. And I'll definitely try to there's a lot of people I think I'm going to try and get over here with you guys and have conversations with you guys. I think this is super neat.
Do it.
A great platform. So super cool of you guys. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
You bet.
You have a great story, man.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
See you guys. Appreciate it.